Okay, so this video is going to go through a few new things and a little bit of a recap of old things. What we're going to be looking at today is how to use playlists and what they mean and how we can use them to make the session run more efficiently and enable editing in terms of ease of use and be able to comp later on, whether you're doing drums, which is what we're going to be looking at today, guitars, vocals in the future. A couple of things to check out first is within the setup and go into preferences. Within the within the editing, just need to make sure that send fully overlapped clips to available playlist while editing, and that one's set to recording. And in addition to all of this, under operation, just make sure that automatically create new playlists when loop recording. That's important if you're going to loop over a section. Pro Tools will then automatically create the loop and put it to a playlist when doing the recording rather than doing it manually. So just make sure those three things are set up first. What I'm going to do actually is beforehand is just demonstrate the advantage of the playlist. So I'm just going to group my drums together. So I'm going to click on the kick and shift click on the room. That selects them all. Command G then highlights all the drums. So I'm just going to call that drums. And I'm going to put it to an ID tag of D for drums and click OK. Now, traditionally, what people tend to do is they'll do one take and then they'll do a second take and then they'll do a third take. Now, that's really difficult in terms of editing because you then got to try and find parts and drop them in and whatnot. And so it's really not the best way of practice of working. Because I've got them in a group, it means that I've got these all locked in. So this was the first take. It was done to a click. It's a demo at this point, the track. So the backing elements have since been re-recorded, but here you've got an idea of the demo aspect of it, just so you can apply a bit of context to the drums. Just explain the routing very quickly as well. What I've done is I've just done a very kind of quick, simple mix. Everything is being routed apart from the click to a submix, which is an auxiliary. And I've just got a compression on there just to kind of tame it a little bit. And then that's going to the main out. So what I've got going on is very minimal. It's just to set up a mix and a feel. Just to show you how the playlist looks, because I've got them set up in a group, if I click on here and then go waveform, you'll see that there are 3 drum takes. Take 1, take 2, and then take 4. So we got them set up. And as I change and swap round, if I click on this, here, which is the little blue arrow highlighted there, that just shows that there is a playlist and there's stuff in there. As you can see, this one is grey, this one is blue, just shows that information. And I can just click on this and that will just automatically move whichever drum to the playlist. So I'm going to actually just stick with this one for the minute and stick with one there. And then I'm just going to go back to waveform. What I need to do is take a listen to the drum parts, okay, and just listen through the different takes. Just identify mishits or problems or feel as well. And I'll sort of explain now. If I take it back to the beginning and play the beginning part of the song, you'll notice that because it's the first take, the drum has not settled on the click and it's a little rushed. So if I press play. So you get the idea. It's a little bit pushed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the different takes now. And the way I can do that is just by selecting that and just have a quick listen to the beginning here as well. See what this one feels like. That's a better take. Certainly feels better. It doesn't feel as rushed against the click. And I'm not too worried about the click and how tight the drummer's playing at the moment, because that's going to come later. But just initially, I just want to get the best kind of feel. So I'm just going to go to the third take and just check out this first section. So just going back to the beginning, I think the drum doesn't quite play at the beginning. So let's have a listen. Okay, so we know we're going to have to fix that. So how do we go about doing this? Well, using Control and the / key, which is that basically creates a new playlist, okay? I haven't lost anything. It's all still there. I can see that here. Okay, but what I do need to do is name it so that I know what I'm going to call it, so I know what it is. So I'm just going to right click on this and hit Batch Rename. And my suffix, which is the end part of it, I'm going to call it comp, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a composite of all the drums, okay, as a starting point. So I'm going to add that suffix to the end and click OK. So that's now renamed it. So the first thing I'm actually going to look at is I'm going to go back to this second take, because that's cool. And I've got it in grid mode. So I'm just going to take the first 9 bars. So I'm just going to go from bar 9 and I'm going to go Command C. I'm just going to drop down to this one and go Command V. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from bar 9. It's really important. I just select the drums. I don't select anything else. I don't do it at the top. I just do it on the edit selection, not the timeline-based selection. Otherwise, it's going to put this in there, and that's going to create all sorts of problems. So I'm going to go from here, going to go Command C, and then I'm going to go to Comp, and I'm going to go Command V. There we go. So it's important to remember to do it from the drum level and not timeline-based, because otherwise you'll get into all sorts of mischief. Then I'm going to go into third take, and I know that from bar 9, I'm quite happy with this so far. So I'm just going to take it up to here. So I'm just going to go Command C. Then I'm just going to drop down to my comp playlist. I'm just going to go Command V. Now what I will need to do, as you can see, and I'm not worried about it, but I will need to edit these transitions shortly. But I'm just going to have a quick listen to how we go. Okay, so that's sounding pretty cool at the moment. I'm just going to do something. I'm just not too sure about this drum fill. It might work there, but let's just check out what's going on. Going back to, let's go back to the first take. Quite like that feel there. So I'm going to take it from 45. I'm just going to take it up to 69. So I'm going to go Command C. And I'm going to go back to my comp and hit Command V. So I'm just going to go here. So maybe that feels okay. Okay, so for me, the change is a bit drastic there. So what I might do is extend, so take this to where it should pick up. So let's have a listen. So maybe I'm going to take it from there, just to open up the hi-hat, and then just bring this out, just so it gives that change. And I'm actually just going to take that all the way up to where the snare fill is. So I'm just going to do that just for continuity there. So I'm just going to bring that. Here we go. So it's starting to come together. Just check out take 3 again. We like the part of that. Now, I actually prefer this. I'm actually going to go back to my comp. I'm actually going to just, because the hi-hat, sorry, the ride cymbal is much cleaner, whereas it's a bit too trashy at this point. I don't want it to be that trashy yet. So I'm just going to open and drag that out. Let's have a look. So I really like the drum fill there. I'm not sure about this floor tom here. So I'm just going to roll this back. And then let's just experiment, see what we've got going on there. Maybe a bit trashy there, back on that. Let's just nick that drum fill. See how that works. And we might have to look at take 2. So let's see what's going on in take 2. So I'm going to need this section from here, essentially from here to here, 67.5. Let's have a look. And the great thing is you can be so experimental with it and just see what. Oop. So go back. So 65. Let's go Command C. Let's go into that. Command V. Okay, so it can't work because he's on the ride cymbal, I think. So yes, he's still on the ride cymbal here, so that fill actually may not work at all, although it's great. Definitely that floor tom feels early. So let's go back into other takes. What we've got going on from here. Well, that one looks later. So that sets up the verse. That works quite well. And then this one's in between. Just early, I think I'm going to go with take 1. So I'm just going to nick that. I'm just going to go 71 to 77. Command C. Command V. And I'm just going to marry those up, see how we work. So there you go. You get the idea anyway. So once I've got my drum comp track all done and I'm happy with everything and gone through, and I'll go through it in a bit more detail, working out if there's drum fills in other places that might work better. I'm going to create another comp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate this. So now I've got a duplicate, and I'm going to batch rename these. So batch rename, and I'm going to call it edit. So I'm going to go into this. It's got a lot of component information, but this information is really important. The edit now means that I can now go into the file. So go into this and look closely. So just going to select that and go Command it. I can now have a look more closely and to deal with, just come out of that, go into slip, and just sort of check out the fades across and just to crossfade them as well. So if I select the kick and I'm just going to undo that, I'm just going to drag so that the bass drum is there, and then just apply a little crossfade. And the way I did that was when I went down to the bottom. So if I undo that, just in the bottom corner where they meet, you just drag and drag it wider. Obviously, you can start to see you're making an effect on the actual waveform. I just want to do it just before. So then I've got a smooth transition between the wave file, so it'll be seamless. And then finally, once I've done all those and done all the edits, okay, you may want to then fix timing as well within this. So you may want to use Beat Detective, which we can go over again in another video. So you've got Beat Detective, and then finally, you need to have a final version. So if you create another playlist, so go in duplicate, and we are going to batch rename. I'll get rid of edit, and just let's do insert. So you've got to go consolidate. So you can put console and hit OK. So now when you sit here, you've got consolidate. That's your drum. That's at the top there. So it's got your consolidation. Basically, what that means is then you select all of your drums through to here, and then you can either go up to edit and go to consolidate clip, which is the option or alt key shift 3, or click on that, and basically that will then make them complete whole files so that you haven't got different bits and pieces. And the beauty of this is if there's something wrong, you've missed something, you've always got a fallback. So you've got your comp, which is your original comp, you've got your edit, and then you've got your final consolidated version. And there you go. That's how we use consolidation and using the drum play edit list.